Welcome to our KTC Academy meeting today. And as is the format of our meetings, this is an educational session as well as where we have advanced evaluations for our speakers. So today, our first installment is a keynote speech, as usual. And our keynote speaker today is he's a banker by profession and a storyteller by passion. He's been with Toastmasters for the past 8 years, and in his own words, has been on one of this has been one of the most rewarding journeys he's ever been on. Besides learning and growth, he claims the friends that he has made is the reason why he remains on this path. His personal mantra is dive in head first and learn to swim later. Today, our DTM Sudarshan Seshadri will be giving a keynote speech with the title, Are You Meant to Be Lucky? Are You Meant to Be Lucky? Over to you, DTM Sudarshan Seshadri.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the day. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, on your mark, get set, dive, swim, 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 swim. Yeah, I made it. I made it. I made it. You made it. We all made it. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, this is how we started life. You and I across the screens today are here because we were the best swimmers. Of a million others that swam with us, we reached the end and manifested ourselves. Why? Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, why are you here? Who put you here? What brought you here? Over the next 15 odd minutes, we together will try to examine what is that X factor that differentiates the successful ones from the not so successful ones, or for that matter, flip the question, what defines those that are extremely unsuccessful and those that are successful. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what we shall ponder over. We shall discuss, debate, disagree even, but my attempt is going to be to shed light on this particular element. So let me start right at the beginning and talk about one of my favorite authors, Malcolm Gladwell. Malcolm Gladwell, in his book Outliers, has talked about this particular element which we tend to look at very, very differently. In the eastern part of the world, from where most of us or all of us come from, we describe this particular element in possibly the most erudite fashion, possibly the most eloquent fashion. The Urdu word that we use is kismat. Kismat or luck is something that we consider we are born with. It lives with us, it goes with us, and in fact, to the extent that in Hindi and Urdu there is a saying which says that Kismat se zyada na kisi ko kabhi mila hai na kabhi milega, basically means you shall not get more than your luck or what you deserve. Now, if this is true, then what are we all trying to do? Why are we constantly trying to push the boundaries of where we are to reach where we want to? And in the process, some of us get there and some of us don't. Let me give you an example. Around the 1980s, late 70s, early 80s, two very, very intelligent human beings, one in his early 20s, one in his late 40s. Both were geeks, both were developing some software solution. They didn't know what the use was, they didn't know where it will be applied, but they had the confidence in their ability to build that solution. Both of them did that. One of them went on to pitch this solution to a mammoth PC development company. That company looked at the solution and said, "We are very interested. We would like to see this." The 40-plus-year-old man also came into this fray and pitched his solution, which was seemingly better. Both of them had the same opportunity, both of them on the same platform, both of them had equal resources, both were operating out of their garage. The 40-plus-year-old man did the sales pitch, got the order to celebrate, went to a bar, something happened, whether he got into a fight or whether he fell, whatever happened, in 3 days from the date he got this deal, the man was buried in a cemetery. The other man went on to become a billionaire and today is the biggest philanthropist in the world. I'm talking about two individuals, one called Bill Gates, the other called Gary Kildall. Gary Kildall, nobody knows. His grave is somewhere in California with a small floppy disk on his tombstone. I guess even if we want to find it, we will all find it extremely difficult to go and look at a cemetery and pay our respects. Whereas the minute I say MS-DOS or MS Excel or MS Word, the face of Bill Gates immediately appears in front of our faces. What was the factor which gave Bill Gates that leg up? Yes, he was intellectual. Gary was also intellectual. Yes, he had entrepreneurship. Gary also had entrepreneurship. Yes, he knew his market. Gary also knew his market. Then what differentiated him? In Bill Gates' own words, he says, luck was a very, very important factor in my success. And this luck is what surrounds all of us. This luck is what we are born with, we carry, and eventually it plays a mammoth role in each and every one of our lives. But luck, unfortunately, is a double-edged sword. In Urdu, it's a dogla insan because it is typically good and bad. Luck can be extremely good, luck can be extremely bad. It depends on your perspective of how things occur. Let me give you my own example. I was suffering with severe back pain. Back pain to the extent that I was bent like this. I was walking as if I am an 80-year-old man. And I happened to speak to a friend of mine. This friend picked up his phone and he said, Sudarshan, today evening, you come to this particular place, your backache will be forgotten by you within 15 minutes. I went there thinking it's a yoga place and they will teach me something which will relieve my back pain, etc. Guess what? I enter the room, there are rows of chairs put, I sit at the back of the room and suddenly someone says, Mr. Sudarshan in the yellow shirt, can you please get up and come up onto the stage? And hands me a table topic. That was my start of the journey in Toastmasters. Complete sheer luck. But guess what? I was in that place, in that position, because I did not know what I was getting into. It was not a planned move, it was not a strategic move, it was not for my education or any such thing. In fact, that point in time, I was actually cursing that lady and saying, why the hell do you make me get up? Because after I stand, to sit is going to take me another 3 minutes. I hobbled up to the stage, I delivered my speech. Guess what? At the end of the meeting, I come home with a small trophy saying you are the best table topic speaker. I don't know whether they were generous to me that day or whether I really spoke well. I have no clue. But the fact is that that piece of metal still sits in my showcase, having the pride of place, and every guest that comes to my house says, is this your son's? I turn around and say, no, no, it's mine. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what luck has done to me. And from then on, this beautiful journey of Toastmasters began. And I've met some very interesting people. As in my introduction, Toastmaster Hina mentioned, I'm in this journey because I've made a lot of friends. I'm proud to call Talha as one of my friends now because this is what luck does to you. But is luck linear? Is luck something that is a substitute for everything else? Now let's look at our day-to-day lives. Some of us here are doctors, some of us here are teachers, some of us here are accountants. Can you be an accountant just by luck? Not at all. That's a profession which requires a tremendous amount of skill. That's a profession which requires specific training on the nuances of how to make your books of accounts. But take two accountants, give them a balance sheet, the analysis can be vastly different. And the impact that they create could also be vastly different. Why does that occur? It is the same thing, right? A credit is a credit, a debit is a debit, an asset is an asset, a liability is a liability. If I am reading it or you're reading it, it is the same. However, when I come and present the results, maybe the CEO will say, okay, we will take a second opinion. But if Talha presents the same results, the CEO might say, we will go with whatever Talha is saying. His recommendations are absolutely spot on. It happens to all of us in every single situation that we face. Whether it is a XCOM meeting of Toastmasters, whether it is a work meeting, whether it is an argument like I would have with my spouse, where I'm saying the same thing that she is saying, but my sons will listen to her and not me. It's just that X factor which comes into play. So are we all meant to have luck? Is luck going to rule our lives, or are we going to control this luck? The old cliche is when preparation meets opportunity, luck is created. That is true. I'm not denying that. That is true. When you are thoroughly prepared and you get an opportunity, you can prove yourself. Let's take an example of someone that I'm sure a lot of us across the screen will relate to. There is this young kid playing on the streets of Karachi, running in, bowling really fast, having great time. Someone happens to see him, informs someone else, that someone else happens to be the captain of the Pakistan team. He calls him in for practice. The person proves his worth, and the rest is history. I'm talking about Wasim Akram. Now, for those of you that follow cricket and those of you that know me a little bit, we all love and adore this character, and I particularly do. And this is a story of pure and simple luck. Because guess what? At that point in time, there were a million other children doing exactly the same thing, probably doing it better than him, probably more capable, probably physically better endowed. But why was someone able to spot him, recommend him, and eventually deliver him to his destiny? This, ladies and gentlemen, is the hidden X factor, which is always at play, which is there for you, there for me, there for everybody else. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of this great derivatives trader called Nassim Taleb. Nassim Taleb has written a book on the impact of luck. So his example was, every day from his apartment in New York, he would take a taxi and go to the 53rd Street and enter his office from the east side door. One morning, he got out of his apartment wearing a particular tie, wearing a particular suit, and he stopped the taxi. The taxi told him, I will not take you to the 53rd Street. Instead, I am going to drop you to the 52nd Street, to the north entrance of the same building. He said, it's fine. It's absolutely the same. It's the same building. I'm entering through another gate, so it doesn't make a difference. Lands up at his office on the 52nd Street, goes in, makes $1 million on that particular day's trade. The next day onwards, he decides he's going to follow just that. The same tie, the same suit. God knows how stinky it became after a while. But the same tie, the same suit, the same entryway at the same time in the morning, and the same New York yellow taxi. And he says he found immeasurable success over a period of time. And this superstition prevails in so many different aspects. You and I do that. If we are stepping out of home and we found that the day yesterday was really great when I put my right foot out, the next day unconsciously your mind will tell you, start with your right foot. You press number 5 on the lift first. You want to do that every day. Now, these things start playing on your mind. But unfortunately, this is not what luck is. This is pure and simple superstition. However, in your and my life, if we look back to where we started from and where we have reached today, we will realize that there were points of inflection. And these points of inflection could be very minor and subtly slip through, or very major, like for example a threatening health condition, or for example a loss of a loved one, or something calamitic happening to your nation or your place or whatever. It could be any of these things. But guess what? Each of those instances has an impact on your life, on my life, and all our lives. So for example, today if you are in this meeting and I have an opportunity to speak to all of you, that is my luck. It is my good luck, as I would like to believe, that I am getting to speak to a new group of Toastmasters. Who knows, at the end of this, I might become good friends with GQ. I might become good friends with Sag. I don't know, but I consider it my good fortune or good luck. Now, whether you consider it your good fortune or good luck to have come to a meeting and listen to a person boring you about luck for 20 minutes, that is your luck. But the fact is, this is at play at all points in time. And we are meant to be lucky. We are meant to have luck in our lives because we started our lives being lucky. We will live our lives because at every point in time, this X factor will come and propel you. If you don't believe me, just take a look at your date of birth and look at everything that has happened around that period. How many great people were born, how many achievements were delivered by the world, how many people won the Nobel Prize at the same time, etc. You will realize that all of us born at a particular point in time have a certain amount of luck that prevails in our life. I'm a 70s kid. I was born in the 70s, and 70s was the time when world was transforming. Everything was new. Every part of this world was emerging out of one or the other crisis. And that's why if you look at the kids that were born in the 70s, from 1970 to 1980, our outlook on life in general is very different. Our view of things in general is very different. A lot of us tend to believe in the global brotherhood of humanity. A lot of us tend to believe a lot of things cut across the borders, and we tend to connect a lot more with people. Not to say that the kids of the 80s and the 90s and the millenniums don't do that, but we were born at that point in time and that was our circumstance. This was just the roll of dice. The universe rolled its dice and we were born. And this didn't require any skill. This didn't require any science. It was just an accident of hope that happened, which delivered us at the time that it delivered us. Today, if for example a kid is born in Ukraine, and we all know what unfortunate happenings are going on in that country, that child's luck is such that the child is born in the midst of strife, in the midst of chaos, in the midst of grief. And eventually, that will have a bearing on the worldview that this individual child has. And this is where that child has got no role to play. But the child's luck comes into being. And this is where I said luck is a double-edged sword. It can be positive, it can be negative. However, ultimately, what we do when we are faced with an opportunity is what determines success and failure. We could be extremely unlucky with a lot of things. Like, for example, if a person is told you're terminally ill and you have 3 months to live. Now, the option for that individual is to curse his luck and weep his days away, or to take those 3 months and make it the most memorable. If you haven't watched, I would highly recommend watching this movie called The Bucket List. Morgan Freeman has delivered a object lesson on how to live life to a surly old rich man in the form of Jack Nicholson. Morgan Freeman teaches him a lesson on, even if you have just 2 days to live, how do you tick off items from your bucket list? And this is what you do with your luck. Your luck is what it is. you will very rarely be able to change it. You will rarely be able to even understand why your luck is the way it is. But what you really can do is embrace your luck and accept it for what it is. Because guess what? The moment you accept it, the rest becomes history. Because you can then truly move on and create history. So, what I want to conclude with is to say that luck is what brought you into this universe. Luck is what takes you from point A to point B. Your skill aids you in that journey. Your temperament enables you in that journey. Ultimately, your desires will take you to your destination. But the start point is typically your luck. My recommendation to all of you is look at your own lives, think about the instances that you've been lucky and be grateful for it. Whether that luck was good luck or bad luck is always in retrospect. It's like looking in the rear view mirror and saying, oh, that was bad luck and that was good luck. But the fact is, when the incident occurs, it is purely meant to take you from where you are to a place where you are meant to be. As I conclude, I'll give you my own example. In grade 10, I was a good student. I wouldn't say I was a great student, I was a good student. Especially English was my strong subject. In the preliminary exams before the finals, I stood first in the entire district. And my teachers were extremely hopeful that I will be one of the toppers in the state, if not in the country. Guess what? When the results came, I got 43 marks out of 100. I was probably in the bottom 20 or bottom 30 of the people that passed. And I didn't know what to do. I was at a loss of words. 43 on 100 for a person who had scored 87 on 100 with an essay which has been framed and put in the principal's office. I was unable to speak. My teachers were unable to stop their tears. But that, ladies and gentlemen, was a point of inflection. I was going to pursue a career in arts. I was going to pursue a career in law probably. But when I saw that my marks in physics and biology were much better, I changed my direction, went into engineering, and my life took a different turn. So what I'm trying to say is my bad luck in that particular exam, for no fault of mine. Later on I came to realize that teachers had gone on strike and my papers had been corrected by municipal workers who were looking at the length of the answers and not the actual answers. They had been given a sample answer which said it is 3 paragraphs. If I had not written 3, they were not giving me the marks. But that was my luck. I couldn't fight it. I couldn't do anything about it. But I realized I could have embraced it and moved on, which is what I did. I didn't know what I was doing then, but I did it. And today I'm here doing something totally different. So ultimately, the message is luck is what it is. What you do with it is going to determine your future course of life. Thank you for having me. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, DTM Sudarshan. Indeed, luck is what it is, and it's what you do it is with it is what makes the difference.